Court records show that Bone was aware Goldsmith had a tendency to use force more than other officers, had been reprimanded for excessive force in the past, and that one of his deputies had complained about Goldsmith's use of force on the job directly to him. Additionally, Bone's chief deputy was warned at least once. The sheriff's office got a complaint about Goldsmith's conduct, and Goldsmith admits being punished for his behavior during his military service in job applications. Now, we asked Bone for an interview on the story. He never responded.
Slide in there.
Please, sir.
Now.
I didn't do anything.
This is Jonathan Goldsmith's body camera footage of an October 2020 incident, which led to his arrest. Newly released court records show coworkers, the public, and even the military were concerned about Goldsmith's behavior. The records were compiled as court evidence in a civil suit by attorneys Robert Butcher and Brett Perry, who sued Goldsmith and Bone over the incident.
It just kept getting bigger and more of a nightmare as we continued to dig.
You know, piece by piece, we put this together, and I don't think any of us at the beginning thought that things would be as bad as they turned out being.
The first instance of documented concern about Goldsmith appeared in the early 2010s while Goldsmith served in the U.S. military. Court records show Goldsmith admits in job applications to the Camden Police Department and Fairfield County Sheriff's Office that he was given a non-judicial punishment for simple assault on a fellow soldier. Then Captain Lee Bone served at the Camden Police Department when Goldsmith was hired, but it's unclear if he was aware of the military action.
Get him. Get him.
More concerns were raised during the summer of 2018 when Goldsmith was with Camden PD. Camden police leadership reviewed this incident with Goldsmith in June, studying other tactics he could have used. They reviewed this June 2018 incident as well. That July, the Department Use of Force Board recommended de-escalation training for Goldsmith after he was responsible for more than a third of all department uses of force so far that year. Bone was on that board.
You see, the city of Camden realized there was a problem, and Lee Bone signed off on the fact that there was a problem. And they said in no uncertain terms that if you're going to continue to serve and protect the citizens of Camden, South Carolina, that you've got to go through further training to make it safe for you to be out there with a badge and a gun.
Goldsmith left Camden PD for the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office before the scheduled Camden PD review was completed. In 2019, Bone hired Goldsmith to the Sheriff's Office. Would you say that the review of the Lee incident and the Izzard incident were effective whatsoever?
No, because he continued to beat the populations of city of Camden and Kershaw County afterwards, so it wasn't effective.
In September 2019, a citizen journalist named Sheila Berestein filed a complaint over this incident. She claims Goldsmith threw her down, while Goldsmith says in his incident report she tripped over her feet. The video isn't clear.
Okay, go over there. Go over there. Don't touch me!
Go over there.
Don't touch me!
It's also unclear if Bone was directly made aware of the complaint. However, Bone was notified about an incident in April 2020 where Goldsmith tasered a man who had his hands up. We've blurred that man's face because he allegedly threatened self-harm.
I'm trying to talk to you. I ain't never need talking to you. All right, well, people are saying you want to hurt yourself. You want to hurt yourself, man?
I might want to hurt you. You never know.
Okay. Hands up. Put your hands up. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around.
Sheriff's Office documents show the former Chief Deputy Steve Norfolk reprimanded Goldsmith and wrote, "After speaking with Sheriff Bone, we both agreed to have this document in writing." Those records show Norfolk reviewed the incident with Goldsmith and wrote, "He knew what happened was the wrong decision."
Let me get him in custody, and I'll talk to y'all. I'm good. He ain't hurt. He's fine. He's fine.
Court records show Bone would be warned again about Goldsmith in June 2020. The deposition of Lieutenant Brad Gerald outlines how he complained directly to Bone and Chief Deputy Terrell Coleman about how Goldsmith got physical with a murder suspect, interfering with a potential confession. He said, and Goldsmith snatched him up, pulled him down the steps, and placed him against a car. And I stepped in between them and told him I had it. He said he met Terrell Coleman and Sheriff Lee Bone coming out the back door. He said, I was aggravated about it because I thought I could have got a confession from the suspect, and I thought he messed that up. So I was aggravated about it. I told them what? Same thing I just told you what he did. Gerald later told attorneys that he was told by office leadership it was a murder suspect. The attorney asked how he interpreted that. He said that it was a murder suspect. Nothing was going to be done with it. The timeline for the final documented warning is unclear. As part of a discovery request for the $1.5 million lawsuit, the sheriff's office admitted 2 deputies contacted Coleman, saying Goldsmith was, quote, aggressive. It's unclear if this happened at the same time, what the cause of their comments were, or what Coleman did with that information. Butcher says his hope is that the sunlight on this issue will pressure Bone to implement changes.
My children, my grandchildren, my wife, my friends, they need to be able to walk the streets and drive through the streets of Kershaw County and know that they're not going to be harmed by law enforcement if they encounter them.
In the aftermath of Goldsmith's firing, Bone implemented a use of force board at the sheriff's office to review future incidents. He said this in November 2020.
Yeah, this is my failure. This is my failure to our citizens and something that shouldn't have happened. And at this point here, I can't go back in time and change it, but I can make things better going into the future.
Now, Bone ultimately fired Goldsmith in November 2020, and SLED arrested Goldsmith in January 2021. Now, days before his termination, court records show Goldsmith ran a use of force class for other deputies. You can read more about that on WISTV.com. Again, we asked Bone and Goldsmith's attorney for interviews on this story, but neither responded. Bone did post on Facebook today, appearing to respond to yesterday's story. He wrote, I don't work for any attorney or news reporter. I don't have to answer to any attorney or news reporter. I only have to answer to the good citizens of Kershaw County. I will do this on my page without their slant and lies getting mixed in. Due to the current, quote, real news, Texas school shooting, I respectfully refuse to go back and forth with anyone's twisted allegations from incidents that took place years ago. Stand by. I will give my side of the story to the citizens of Kershaw County when the timing is appropriate. And he gave the hashtag Pray for Texas. Now, we used court records, freedom of information requests, and the accounts of those involved on this story. Again, Bone had multiple opportunities to comment.
And Chris, you have part 3 of this investigation airing tomorrow. What does that cover?
Yes, so that will cover a deputy that recorded Bone while they were in the car. It's unclear exactly if Bone knew what was happening, but Bone talks about his views on Goldsmith, constitutional rights, and public criticism as well. That will air